Oklahoma is the land of second, third, and last chances. Who were the people that made it so? The Red River Institute, JohnJDwyer.com, me, Gwen Faulconer-Lippert, and our signature sponsor, Atwoods, present Oklahoma Gold. Together with award-winning author and historian John J. Dwyer, we'll stitch the golden threads of Oklahoma history. Here now on Oklahoma Gold. Dignifying our history through the stories we tell. Mountain of a Man? John J. Dwyer, is this from the Oklahomans Volume 2? Tell me this story.
This is from the Oklahomans Volume 2, Gwen, and this is from the life of a great man that many Oklahomans know through one of the multiple ways we'll talk about today. You know, the mighty Old Testament prophet Ezekiel thundered in the depths of Israel's fall from grace, "So I sought for a man among them who would make a wall and stand in the gap before me on behalf of the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found no one." Well, sadly, Gwen, Ezekiel did not live in the time of Don Demeter, the man whose remarkable life we explore today. In an age of great knowledge, little understanding, and scarce wisdom, modern Oklahoma has not had that problem. At least one good, gentle, quietly great giant of a man fought the good fight, finished the race just after Thanksgiving 2021, and kept the faith. He was a mountain of a man whose preaching voice sounded chiseled from western canyons, whose loping gait made the great Major League home run base paths he devoured seem small, and whose bear-like handshake gifted warmth and belief in you. And he empowered the wounded, the unlovely, and the overlooked to feel and walk as kings and queens of the world, and to follow the King himself. How unlikely a tale to have begun the way it did, but isn't that just the sort that God glories in authoring? Don Demeter began life in the depths of Dust Bowl and Great Depression-racked Oklahoma in a broken, poverty-stricken Southside Oklahoma City home near the smelly old Stockyards packin' town. He was a lanky, broad-shouldered boy who could run like the wind. As Demeter bounced from home to home around the country, God pieced together a life and a vision for him through a devout grandmother who taught and demonstrated the gospel to him and daily prayed for him. A foster father, meanwhile, gave the youth a vision of Christian manhood and servant leadership of a loving family. At 11 years of age, Demeter trusted in Christ at Exchange Avenue Baptist Church in blue-collar Capitol Hill and was spiritually saved. Having found someone who would never leave him, the verse he clung to from that day until the end of his life was Hebrews 13:5, in which Jesus promised his followers, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." He attended a Capitol Hill high school teeming with tough, poor kids who won state championships in everything, became college All-Americans, gained fame as professional athletes and Hall of Famers, and brought home Olympic gold. A friendly, good-natured kid, he was the only Redskin starter who did not make the all-city baseball team. So revered was he by his teammates, though, that when the Brooklyn Dodgers offered pro contracts to two of them, they refused to accept unless Demeter was given one too. So on graduation night in 1953, Don Demeter signed with the Dodgers for $800 and began his professional career with their lowest-level farm team, the Shawnee, Oklahoma Hawks of the Sooner State League. Demeter recalled the glamour, so-called, of that bygone era of minor league ball when he said, "When you went on a road trip and had a flat tire on the bus, the last guy who joined the club pushed the tire to the next town and got it fixed. The day after I reported, another kid joined the club. We ran over a chicken and blew a tire. That kid had to thumb a ride back to a garage and bring a mechanic back." That's the end of the quote. And that's the glorious minor league days of Don Demeter in the 50s. Within a few seasons, though, he'd risen to play for Major League Brooklyn, then Los Angeles, when that team moved. He hit a home run with his first swing in the majors. You can watch that on YouTube, by the way, in a video entitled Don Demeter Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame induction. His teammates included future Hall of Famers Jackie Robinson, Sandy Koufax, Pee Wee Reese, Duke Snyder, and his roommate, Don Drysdale. At age 24, he played center field and got several hits as the LA Dodgers won the World Series. The 3 games they played in that series still boast the 3 largest crowds ever to watch a series game in person, the final of them being the largest ever, with 93,000 people in attendance. Yet in the joyous locker room following the final game, Don Demeter asked himself, is this all there is to life? Is this the best it gets? That memorable sequence tilted his life more directly onto a trajectory that would eventually bless countless people across Oklahoma and far beyond. Meanwhile, the 6'4" Oklahoman with the big hands, speedy legs, and powerful swing blasted 20-plus home runs 4 straight years with the Philadelphia Phillies and Detroit Tigers and totaled 163 in his career. He hit a sensational .307 batting average one season, the 7th highest in the National League. Twice he hit 3 homers in one game. A complete player, he competently managed 5 different positions on the field, received Most Valuable Player in the National League votes 2 different seasons, and played 3 straight years without committing one error in the field. In fact, the play that ended that errorless streak demonstrates the cheerful trust in life's course that marked Don Demeter. A groundskeeper's dog raced onto the field, disrupted his perfect throw from the outfield on an opponent's line drive hit, and caused the infielder to miss the throw and the runner to advance. Demeter later said with a laugh, well, the scorer couldn't charge the dog with the error, so he assigned it to me. But I know in my own mind there were probably some balls before that I should have been given an error but wasn't. So that's Don Demeter in thick or thin, happy and trusting. Nonetheless, he held the major league record for games played without committing an error for 30 years.
Wow.
Gene Mauch, Demeter's legendary manager in Philadelphia, trumpeted the Oklahomans' work ethic. He grinds it out every day, Mauch said, with the best disposition in the world. And now he's established himself in multiple positions, a greater value to himself and any team. Demeter didn't drink, smoke, or cuss. His abiding trust in God and acceptance of the apparently bad with the good shines as an enduring testament. In 1967, he helped the Boston Red Sox win the American League pennant, but was traded before they played in the World Series. What was his reaction? He thought the player for whom he was traded helped the team more than he would have. In 1968, Detroit wanted to re-sign him, but he decided to retire. That team won the World Series. So why, at age 32 and still in the prime of his career and a young man's strength, did Demeter retire from baseball? Well, we'll explore that, and we'll dig up a shining golden nugget after the break.
At age 32, he retired? Wow. I wonder what the golden nugget's going to be. Don Demeter. Now, that's Oklahoma Gold. Dignifying our history by the names we remember. John Dwyer, tell me more about the Mountain of a Man.
The Mountain of a Man, Gwen, Don Demeter, rose from a broken, poverty-stricken South Oklahoma City home to fame and glory as a Major League Baseball star and World Series champion. But it was his Christian convictions which guided his belief that God bestows his gifts and talents, even great ones, on people not primarily for their own enjoyment and fulfillment, though that often occurs as well, but as means to help draw men and women to himself. A soldier on active service, the New Testament apostle Paul wrote to his disciple Timothy, will not let himself be involved in civilian affairs. He must be wholly at his commanding officer's disposal. End quote. Thus presented a rare opportunity to return to the powerful Detroit Tigers, who are about to win a World Series. Don Demeter, so often on the road, out of state, traveling the country playing baseball, battling and overcoming painful injuries, looked at his sons Russ and Todd. What did he see? According to Todd, decades later, he saw two boys who needed a father. After baseball, Demeter began the Spartan Pool construction business, where both of his sons eventually worked with him, and which proved a long-term success that continues even today under Russ's leadership. And he continued a faithful pursuit of Bible study, teaching, and leadership, which he had grown well known for during his major league career. Most importantly, he remained strong and trusting in his own faith, even after his beloved son Todd, a father of five and himself a tremendous baseball player and man of God, died at age 35 of Hodgkin's disease. In 2002, Don founded Grace Community Baptist Church in far south Oklahoma City as its pastor with his daughter Jill and her husband, son-in-law Rob Cleveland. Through the years, Don Demeter won countless awards and was inducted into many halls of fame. All the while, he provided a rare model of consistent, great-hearted Christian manhood for his children, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, and many others. Perhaps greatest of all, next to his stainless testimony of faith, was his radiant 64-year marriage to the former Betty Jo Madoli. Remember that godly foster father we talked about in the first segment? Well, Demeter and Betty met when he was 15 years old at an Exchange Avenue Baptist Church social event in Capitol Hill, where this man served as chairman of the deacons and Sunday school superintendent. Demeter's embodiment of strong yet patient, forgiving, and loving fatherhood and husbanding has impacted many who had their own fathers. One was his grandson Cole Cleveland, who heard a sermon from his grandpa as a boy that changed his life. It was entitled, "Give a Cup of Cold Water." Cleveland recalled that, quote, he talked about the importance of encouraging people. Instead of adding to their confusion and their sometimes chaotic life with more struggle, we should give them a cup of cold water. There's nothing like a cup of cold water for the soul. That's the end of the quote. The boy who heard that sermon grew up to be his grandfather's successor as pastor of Grace Community Baptist Church and himself a faithful husband and father. When Demeter was inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame in 2010, acclaimed Oklahoman newspaper sports columnist Barry Trammell wrote, "When they build a Father's Hall of Fame, Demeter will be a first ballot inductee." But all along the way, usually quietly and with few, if any, human witnesses, big, manly Don Demeter was impacting the fatherless boys of the world as well. Only the Lord knows the number of that legion. One of them was me. One of them was me. As a Little League ball player living in hot, dusty Oklahoma in a one-bedroom apartment with my brother and widowed mom, she slept on the couch in the living room so that we boys could have the bedroom. There were two baseball players whose bubblegum baseball cards I still remember collecting every year when they came out at the beginning of the season, Mickey Mantle and Don Demeter. They were both poor like me, and I remember even as a little boy thinking to myself, they're from Oklahoma, and they made it. Maybe I can too. Who would have predicted that nearly half a century later, I would wind up meeting Pastor Don Demeter for the first time, belonging to his church, and even teaching my daughter and some of his grandchildren in Sunday school. Only an omnipotent God, ceaselessly ordering the lives of his children and acting on their behalf, working all things together for good to those who love him, could have pulled that one off. He was a mountain of a man, whose preaching voice sounded chiseled from western canyons, whose loping gait made the great major league home run base paths he devoured seem small, and whose bear-like handshake gifted warmth and belief in you. And he empowered the wounded, the unlovely, the overlooked, and the fatherless to feel and walk as kings and queens of the world and to follow the King himself. Indeed, Don Demeter led us all along the way to follow the King.
John J. Dwyer. That's why you are Oklahoma Gold.